Jerome is
My
burning.
man.
What's up?
My, my man, dude, you are looking like a million, like always. It's great to have you back, DeMarcus. Lots to cover. Hey, listen, let me start with the Cowboys. They are 4-2 after having played 5 games without Dak Prescott. How did they look to you overall without Dak?
You know what? They look like the same team that, won 4 or 5 games straight. But one thing that I saw that was missing is the offense didn't start as fast as they usually start. Defense, they played well enough to win the football game. But for some reason, they did play actually a really good defense in the Philadelphia Eagles. And you can see that when it becomes a defensive game and they're able to get pressure on them, big plays are made and you lose the football game. But, once they get everything clicking back like the first 4 games that they won, I mean, they'll be a hard team to beat.
DeMarcus Ware is joining us. So Jerry Jones says he's hopeful that Dak Prescott will be able to play Sunday. Dak sounds like he wants to go on Sunday. What do you expect that offense to look like, at least initially, when Dak comes back after a long layoff?
Um, I think really conservative because when you have a guy like that, you want to make sure that he gets comfortable again, right? Handing the ball off to Zeke and Pollard, probably running some quick plays, some screens here and there, maybe trying to do a little bit of trickery, reverse screens, just little small things like that to get him going, and not trying to put pressure on that hand with throwing the ball too deep. But I also remember playing against Ben Roethlisberger when he hurt his arm. The first play I played against him was a 9 route. I think it was to AB, and they scored on us because we thought that they weren't going to score and we played man coverage. So uh, it's up in the air playing with them, with Dak playing. So hopefully everything pans out right.
Talking to DeMarcus Ware, he's appearing courtesy of Crown Royal, which I'm going to get to in a minute. DeMarcus, there was this wild story about the owners' meeting where reportedly Jerry Jones said to Bob Kraft, "Hey man, don't F with me. Don't F with me." You know the Cowboys owner. Did you ever see that side of him? Ever see him say or act like that?
I never saw Jerry Jones act like that or say something like that, but I know he meant it. He's one of those guys where when he says something, he's going to do it, right? And I remember during the lockout, he was one of the head owners that were saying, hey, here's where we are. This is what we have to offer to the players, so on and so forth. And I saw that same mentality a little bit. So when he said that, I never heard him say something like that before, but he's always a stern guy and he's always behind his word. So uh, he meant what he said.
Yeah, I feel you. DeMarcus Ware, I appreciate that response too. I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me ask you really quickly. You racked up 117 sacks while in Dallas, most in franchise history. You've spent some time with Michael Parsons. You talk technique with him. You spent time with him. When you watch him play right now, what kind of thoughts do you have?
I think thoughts of freedom because when he first came in, they were like, okay, you're going to play inside linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive end. We're going to try to move you around a little bit. And I think they finally found a place for him, and that's rushing the passer. I mean, it's inevitable that the guy had so many sacks last year. You got to let him do that. Let him be disruptive. And just talking with him, he's one of those guys where he was a learner when we went over the technique, when we went over the mentality of how to rush the passer. And I'm like, this dude is a sheer athlete. He was so fast, learned things very quickly. And it's just a cool thing to see now how he's blossoming in his second year.
DeMarcus Ware is joining us. Of course, you won that Super Bowl when you were in Denver. The Broncos, my man, had such high expectations coming into this year after they made that deal for Russell Wilson. They hired Nathaniel Hackett, and they've been a huge disappointment. I mean, there's a lot of issues, but if I were to say to you, what is the single biggest problem right now? Like, where would you even start to fix what appears to be broken? What would you say?
Um, I would give the team to Russell. When you have a new coach come in, they sort of have to instill their mentality, instill their strategy and techniques on the team, and this is how it needs to be done. But then you get a quarterback that comes in, and he is that guy. Like it's almost like a Peyton Manning type guy that comes in and can rule the roost on offense and defense, tell guys how to do it. But I feel like he's a little bit uncomfortable for some reason because he's one of those guys. When I played against him, He was able to get out of the pocket. Now he's sitting in the pocket a little bit more. You're starting to see him make indecisive plays and trying to push to do more. And I think they just got to let Russell be Russell and just give him the keys to the city and let him run the team.
It's interesting. Let me ask you, do you think that, I see what you're saying, like when you went against him, he was that guy. He was that guy, so let him be that guy. I hear what you're saying. Do you think, though, that he is still that guy? Like, he's physically not right, we know this, but is he still that guy? And if you give him the keys to the city, can he still run that thing?
I think he can still run that thing, man. But when you look at one of those plays I just saw, guys blitzing and getting through the line, and he's uncomfortable back there. He's sitting back there in the pocket. How many times have you seen Russell Wilson sit back in the pocket and make big plays? Yeah, 50% of the time. But when you see him run out of the pocket, when there's strategic plays of getting him out of the pocket, now, the coverages break down. He's able to throw it, to the tight ends, throw it deep. He's able to think a little bit more. But it's almost like you're making him into a pocket passer when he's really not a pocket passer, like I said, they have to give the keys to him eventually, and that eventually have to be soon.
DeMarcus, I don't think that for those who haven't played at that level, those who don't understand the locker room, the dynamics, maybe you can help me with this. And I'm not trying to drag you into it, but just to help us understand it, one of the controversies of the week was that issue with Tom Brady leaving the team and missing a walkthrough to go to Bob Kraft's wedding. From where you're sitting, do you have any issue with that? And do you think his teammates or coaches had any issue with that?
Right now, Tampa Bay has a lot of things going on out the field. I mean, either if it's with Brady or maybe some of the other players, but when the quarterback leaves the team and goes somewhere that's important to him, okay, cool. We totally understand that. But are you balling out? One thing. Are you leading the team, doing what you need to do? And do we got to worry about you when you get back? If we don't have to worry about any of those three things, cool. You go do what you do. But when you get back, I need that hot sauce on that chicken because we got to cook something. That's the way I feel, baby. When quarterbacks do and go out and do what they do.
Yeah, that's not what happened, man. He came back, and I don't know exactly what he cooked up, but it was not hot sauce on that chicken. That did not go well. That's not what that was about. Let me ask you really quickly. You won that Super Bowl in Denver, and I see Von Miller. Von Miller comes to L.A., and he leads the Rams, helps the Rams win a Super Bowl. Now he goes to Buffalo. He's looking to do the same thing right there. They look great so far. How does he look to you, and can you see him doing the same thing for Buffalo that he did for the Rams?
Dude, I see him doing the same thing that he did with Buffalo, that he did with the Rams, and he's a lot more comfortable. It was weird. When he went from Denver to LA, it was sort of bittersweet, right? Oh, man, I want to leave my team, and I'm going to win a Super Bowl. But this time, he was like, you know what? I'm comfortable actually going to the Bills. I talked to Vaughn a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, man, there is nothing to do here but play football. Do you know how focused I am? I've lost like 10 pounds. I feel so lean. I mean, I'm getting off the ball. I'm able to see everything. And I'm like, dude, that's what you need right now in your career, being focused and leading those guys to another championship. And seeing how they're playing right now, lights out, the sky's the limit for those dudes. And I'm just glad to see him playing at this time at the high level.
You nailed it. He looks amazing. He looks lean. He looks explosive. He's getting off. DeMarcus, you look amazing. I got to ask you, before we talk Crown Royal, you look like $1 million. Now, I've made this point on this show. I'm always fascinated by athletes that to play at a high level and perform at a high level, you have to delay self-gratification. You have to make sacrifices. You have to be so regimented and so disciplined that a lot of guys that when they're done playing, they're like, all right, I'm going to get mine now. And I understand why they would, because they denied themselves for so long. You look so good. How have you approached it in post-retirement, your post-playing days? Is it a lifestyle, and is it fun and easy for you, or how do you approach it?
I think you got to be dedicated to your routine, right? And when you've gone through 51 injuries and you can't walk, which I actually retired because of that, I said, how do I get back? And so I went back into my regimen of how I prepared every single season, how I had 12 amazing, seasons with 2 great teams. And I started working out. It wasn't like I'm working out 3 or 4 hours and, smashing every high weights at the gym. It's like just being consistent. And people say, how do you stay motivated? I say motivated because it's part of my routine. And when it's part of your routine, you have no choice but to do it. So it's not like you're having fun. It's just part of my life. And it's a lifestyle thing.